Alright guys, so let's talk about what do you do with your sourdough starter when it's done. First of all, you should name your sourdough starter. Just something fun to do. That's what people typically do, is name their sourdough starter. I'm gonna name her Rose. We have the starter autolyse, which is just a combination of the water and flour over a rest period, like 20 minutes to 60 minutes. I always do an hour. Let it rest, then you come back and add the rest of the ingredients. Once we get the rest of our ingredients combined, we would do some stretch and folds. This recipe I'm gonna be using is a no-knead recipe. Alright guys, our sourdough starter is very active. It has more than doubled in size. It's about to reach the lid. So now is the time for us to go ahead and use it. So now that our starter is ready, we're gonna get ready. And so let's go over some of the things that we're gonna need. Here we have an active starter. I have some water, salt, a proof basket, this little tool to score. I have a plastic scraper here, and I have some bread flour and wheat flour here. The thing that's gonna be needed further on is gonna be something to bake with. I'm going to be using this combo cooker. Bread bakes lovely in here. You can use another type of Dutch oven. Doesn't have to be this, but this one works great. Let's get started. First things first is we have to build our autolyse. What is an autolyse? That is just simply a mixture of the flour and water. It's just basically the flour and water for a rest period from either 20 minutes to 60 minutes. I usually do an hour. What that does is fully hydrates the flour, and it doesn't have any negative effects on the gluten development. It also is going to become more stretchy, which is going to allow the dough to expand easily, and this is also helps when shaping. So the autolyse is real easy to do. Get your flour of choice. That can be rye, that can be whole wheat. This is going to be a combination of white bread flour and whole wheat flour. That you want to reserve some of your water. So I just put a little bit to the side to make sure that I do that. And I'm going to go ahead and get my water. So before you add your water, you want to make sure that your water is closest to 90 degrees as possible. You don't want to add cold water. I just nuked this in the microwave for 30 seconds. Then I'm going to add it to here, and I'm going to get everything all mixed up. So at this moment, we won't need the active fermentation, we won't need the salt, and we're gonna reserve some of that water. Right now, it's just gonna be the flour and water, and that is gonna be the autolyse. So the autolyse is done. That's how the autolyse is looking. We're gonna let this rest for an hour. So I have just this tea towel that I'm just gonna cover it with and set it aside. Cover her up, set her aside, and let her rest for 60 minutes. Then we'll come back and add the other ingredients. All right, this has been sitting for an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and add in our other ingredients. This is 10 grams of salt going in, the rest of our reserved water, and 100 grams of our sourdough starter. So now we're gonna let this bulk ferment for 4 hours, and in between those 4 hours, we're gonna do 3 stretch and folds. All right, guys, I'm about to perform my first stretch and fold, and I want to show you what that looks like. So you're just gonna stretch it until you can't anymore. Turn it. And that is 1 stretch and fold. You're gonna do that 3 times throughout your 4 hours of the bulk fermentation process. I'm gonna cover this back up and let it sit for 30 more minutes, and then I'll do my next one. Then I'll do a total of 3. So my dough has been sitting in bulk fermentation for 4 hours. I'm going to give it 1 more stretch and fold, and then I'm going to get it out onto a floured surface and try to tighten it up and get it formed into my bowl. Then I'm going to get it put into my proof basket so that it can go in the fridge and proof overnight. I will be getting it in the oven first thing in the morning. I'm gonna flour my proofing basket as well, lightly flour it, and then I'm just going to fold this into the center. So our loaf is all ready to go. It is ready to be put in the refrigerator so that it can proof overnight. I'm gonna cover it with my towel, set it in the fridge, and we will be ready to bake with it in the morning. Good morning, you guys. It is the next morning. We have our bread here. I have our combo cooker here. It's been in the oven preheating at 475 for an hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my loaf onto this parchment paper and get it into the combo cooker. You wanna definitely have some good oven mitts because this thing is hot. So I'm just gonna take this, lay this opposite. Get our bread loaf out. I'm gonna add a little bit of more flour on top, and then I'm gonna do a quick score. I'm just gonna do something basic, nothing too fancy. Alright, now to get this slid into our combo cooker, be careful, this thing is hot, hot fire. Alright, I'm gonna get the lid back on, and I'm gonna give this a covered bake for 35 to 40 minutes. Alright guys, she's been in the oven for 35 minutes covered. This is what she's looking like now. Ooh. She's looking pretty. Gonna put her back in for 5 to 10 more minutes. I'm gonna check it in about 7 minutes maybe. So that is it, you guys. This is our finished product. She is looking marvelous. Congratulations on baking your first loaf of sourdough bread. She is looking yummy. Enjoy!